Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning from a gloomy day in the Philippines, but the air feels nice and the temperature's right, and can't always be a beautiful day. It's still beautiful to me because I'm enjoying the sound of those waves crashing at the shore, and I'm enjoying that it kind of gets me out of that sun that I was staying in all the time, blistering in there for a while during the Philippines summer season. And I actually love this time of year. It does get a little gloomy sometimes, but the nice thing is I have this garage right here I can come work in. I got this cover out here, and I got my hobbies. And my hobbies usually surround either something always motorized, pretty much. You know, it's either going to be cars, bikes, boats, and I don't have enough room for an airplane. But if I did, if I did, yeah, man, it's pretty crazy. So let me show you what's going on here right now at the moment. So right here is the old Chinese diesel that I ordered. It's supposed to have been a small outboard diesel. It was going to be a kicker motor in the beginning for my Sea Ray boat, and they sent me a massive monstrosity that was so poorly crafted and so crappily done that there was no way in the world they were getting my money for that. Put in a claim. Alibaba backed me, my bank backed me, and the company never even responded to the claim, and my money was refunded all back. No bad marks on me nowhere, and shame on them for what they did. They did a bait and switch, showed me images, showed me everything, details on one looking motor, and they sent another. So and it took them forever to do it. It was a big old stress, but I ended up with all this. I said, you know what, I'm gonna make it into something decent. And I'll kind of repeat this for you guys that don't know. They kind of borrowed parts from other boat engines. So this is the lower unit, which is a mid-range Yamaha. No problem with that. Get parts for it, everything, no problem. That mount right there is also from a Yamaha, the transom mount. And then they made a homemade cowling. You know, yeah, it's 50-50, probably better than I would have done here in the backyard. It's got a couple little character flaws to it, but nothing that can't be worked out. And they used this V-twin water-cooled diesel. They cast it, and that's probably a pretty darn good motor. I like it. I really do like it. The casting here on the bottom that the lower unit goes up, they made it themselves. They did a really crappy job, to be honest. I mean, it's cast, it's there, but it's too thick for what it needed to be. It's too heavy for what it needed to be. The rear motor mount is not constructed right in this area right here, but at least they did put some dampeners in there inside of that. And then they had this leg right here that went on that is just a monstrosity. You could put a small block Chevy on top of this thing. That joker is heavy, and it was massive, bulky, not fluid dynamic, not aerodynamic, not any kind of dynamics. So I said, okay, it's not a total loss because I've already straightened up some of their other crappy work they did. Let me show you an example of crappy work. You see this bolt holes here? You see that one's drilled, kind of looks round, little oval. This one kind of round, little oval. This one, it looks like they just took and like mixed drilled and just took and walled a drill bit around. You see it? And the same thing over here, look at that. And it was supposed to have a hole here for the water pump tube to come through. They did a homemade job with a copper pipe, trying to bend it around, didn't even get it in the water pump, didn't even get it in there. Just look at that homemade stuff. So just kind of straightening it up, making it better, build back better. They just put big old thick heavy stuff in places that didn't need to be, and they should have focused more on some other things. But not all is lost, and I've got some tube on the way that this whole piece right here is going to get replaced by a thick wall, 10 millimeter thick wall tube right there, about 2 3/4 diameter. And I'm making a plate that's going to go down on top of here. I cut this plate that was too big off, and the scraps from it I have scribed on here already. If I don't know if you might be able to see the scribe marks. There's a lot of scratches, so you may not be able to see it, but there is a pattern scribed that matches this right here, and it's on there if you can kind of see it there. And that 3-inch tube is going to weld down onto this thick plate. This one here is about a 1/2 inch thick, and the upper, so between there and this, I'll show you later, will be a 3-inch tube. And then I ordered a thick walled 1 1/4 inch tube that's also 10 millimeters thick, that's going to go right behind it and support it, and it's going to have some other functionality, so it won't just be one tube only. It's going to change the weight a lot. So here it is hanging back on there again. There's the motor. Let me move this back, maybe I'll get a better view. There you go. So there's the motor. It's mounted down. It's on the transom bracket. That's a Yamaha transom bracket that that Chinese company had adapted to work for what they were Frankenstein up here for a motor, and I'm making it the return of Frankenstein, young Frankenstein. So eliminating that great big old heavy piece right there, and the like vibration dampener like mount was bolted down inside of that before. What I've done now is this plate right here that was already here in the motor, had it, instead of it bolted down right here inside that big leg, now it's bolted up and through both of these. I drilled all the way through, and it sandwiches in between all of it, and so it gave me more bolts holding the motor mount down that they made right here. And it's got my dampener. Made some spacers for now, some stainless steel spacers between, but I plan on changing that to thick walled aluminum. And we got it bolted up here, and I cut off this aluminum bracket, just come way on back here. That really thick aluminum, even that weight adds up, and it was way out here, and I cut a big piece of it off, and so that really shrunk things down. This is going to be my base plate. Then I'm going to be welding that 2 3/4 aluminum pipe to coming up, and the lower unit is going to bolt down right below this on that other piece they cast. This is a nice thick piece, 1/2 inch thick, and I'm cutting this out right now. I kind of started with a grinder. I'm out of grinder blades, so I cut it as deep as I could with the grinder until there just wasn't nothing left of it anymore. And now I'm finishing up here with a fine tooth blade on a jigsaw. Just cut over there, and I'm gonna cut over here, and hopefully this old ragged jigsaw will make it through. There she is. Boy, I made a mess. That's the way it is in a garage. It's not a house. My friend Lonnie came over, and he had some stuff he had brought from the U.S. He brought me some fishing pole holders, and they got a quick release button on them here. You can remove them fast, and looks like you can even change the position maybe on them. Let me look at that. So you got that. It looks like it's got teeth this way, and you could, yeah, you sure can. So you can use them universal more than one way. Pretty cool, pretty cool. Yeah, that's nice. So thank you, Lonnie, again for these. I will put them to use. So he also brought me a cooling pad for a laptop. I have one I keep right here, down here. If I have my laptop down here in the garage, I have a cooling pad here. But I hate carrying it back and forth upstairs, downstairs. So he had another one. He didn't even know I had a need for one. And he brought me an additional cooling pad also. So that's pretty cool. Thank you so much, Lonnie. So this was all the piece that I cut off the back of that mount up there where they had mounted that motor on that boat, and that was so valuable to me. It's not easy to get those materials like this here, so this was such a blessing. I'm just gonna now put it over here on this piece and match it up, and even this scrap left over right here, I may have some uses for these pieces like this. Might even make a couple gussets, we'll see, but that is not scrap because I need that. That's pretty valuable to me for this project. And I'll do a little grinding and cleaning up on it. Looks like I can probably go ahead and take that whole little spot. There was a round hole there and I had to cut right along the edge of it. Looks like I can grind that and won't have even that little indentation anymore. But I get that, and then there's 4 bolt holes. I'll drill those, get it locked down, and then I can start laying out where everything's going to go from there. Really cool though. I'm so happy to do this. So I'm down here in Far Eastern. Bought a little bit of stainless steel hardware here. This is downtown city proper near Robinson's. Like these big old air compressors. And they got everything here. You just about think a big place. But I came here and found a pipe to make my axle tube. Here, mine. Let her check that real quick. This is what they're calling Schedule A. It was, I was telling Cap, it's kind of funny because I've been looking for this pipe, and somebody from here at Far Eastern must have knew I was looking for it and wrote me, just come here to our place, Paul, that they have it. Wrote me on Messenger. And oh, they're gonna cut that also. Oh, they're gonna cut it on the other cutter, not this. Yeah.
14.
Yeah. So they were right, and they had it here. So I don't know who told them. It could have been my stainless steel railing guy, or I know the guy that owns this place here. Not real well, but I know who he is. But somehow or another, the word got around to him that I was looking for some of this thick wall pipe. Said, just come here, we got it. And boy, they did. They were right. Captain, you see what's the, hey, can you measure the total on it? I want to make sure we cut it right in the middle. Is it 10 feet? Measure from the other side now, see if that goes to the middle. That'll work. I just want to make sure I don't lose none. That'll work right there. Thank you. Yeah, happy to get this. I've been putting off this trailer project because I need to get out and hunt this stuff. Man, this actually turned out really easy. Look at that solid plastic rods they have over there. I wonder what they use that for.
It's like a nylon. That could be used as some sort of a bushing.
Maybe so, yeah.
It's like neoprene or something like that.
They got all these steel plates right here. We call them tabs. We weld onto I-beams or C-purlin, C-channel for welding purlins onto. It's what we used to use it for in gussets and everything else we'd make. Putting up steel buildings. It's kind of cool to see these sitting here reminiscent of that. The cowling that they made here, I mean, it's okay. It's better than nothing. And it's got a big gap in it back here now where this aluminum plate where I reduced it. They had really just hacked it up bad with a grinder even when they made it. Had a lot of gaps. And they had it bolted down on the top of all of this. So when you look from the side, you could see all of these levels of hardware, which was really crazy. And I'm going to undersling it under all of this, make new holes so we're not in situations like this. Make new holes and get it where it's sealed up pretty nice and proper. Before, again, it was up here and there's hardwares here. So they just cut notches. Here's a piece I cut out. They just cut notches in and around everything. So they had it up there where everything was just cut out around notches. This is the way they did it. You see that? That's the way it was right there, just hacked and whacked. This is how they had it. Really crappy work. Look at that. And so now I've trimmed it back some because this is solid right here. And I've trimmed it back to where now it sits down below that right there. And it's going to look really nice because there's a little bit of a radius starts coming up here. But instead of all of this, it's going to be nice and clean under now. This is all going to be sealed up. And that's what I'm currently working on. So out here I'm preparing to do some fiberglassing. And this is that bottom part of the cowling. And it was a little warped. So it was wanting to droop on this side over here. Because it's not thick enough to well support itself here on the bottom. These other places are pretty thick, but right in this bottom it wasn't. So just the weight of itself was drooping it down. So I've got it on a piece of this PVC plastic board here. And I took sander, and as you see, I sanded all around in here. Got their overspray of paint and everything off. But I had to put a couple stainless screws down in it to hold it down flat. And then I'm going to have just cut those loose later, or maybe drill into them or something and remove them because I need to glass all this in. It's overcut here. The opening only needs to be right over here to this. So this whole side right here needs to be closed up. This whole side here needs to be closed up. This whole bottom here. So I'm going to go around and tab that in. I'm going to change this. Look how they just drilled that. Isn't that horrible? All right, well, I got that glassed in right there. I laid, man, this here's probably got 6 layers laid in over it around. Because before, when I was messing with this thing really wanted to droop in here. So I brought it up around on these edges in here too to reinforce all of that over here. And this right here gets ground out. So I just kind of bend it over and I'll be recutting that. A lot of this will get recut and that center part will come out right there. So hoping this makes it a whole lot stiffer than it was before. It's quite a few layers when you add up 6 layers to even that chop strand in there. And I didn't have to use a whole lot of resin to do it. I just kept soaking it into the resin that was there, and I used every little scrap and tear piece too. There's nothing left here. But I'm gonna grab some thinner real quick and a rag and try to get a little bit of this resin off here that I dripped. Wasn't too concerned though, because I'm going to work on some other places on this where they didn't do it real good. It's got a crack there. It's got a little crack here. So I'm gonna be doing some more reinforcements. And I'll probably be removing these latches. They put them on crooked. They're not centered up right. So I'll be redoing those. So bottom line is I'm going to be repainting this thing, the whole motor. I'm gonna shoot the whole thing with a paint gun and give it a nice solid coat of paint when I'm done. Don't know if I'm gonna stick with this color or go with something else, but I'm gonna try to make it look really good and put some quality paint on it. Well, I know I said that was it, but then I went and grabbed more glass and I felt like I could just keep tapping it in and without even adding any resin. And I want to roll that down a little bit right there, and that's what I did. I ended up getting several more layers of that glass in there without even adding any more resin. It was really awesome. Packed it in there, built this up more through here, reinforced it more right along in here because this is where the weight's going to hang. Brought more up into the sides up in here, and because that's where the weight's going to push down. And man, I think this thing's going to be really cool. That's going to be pretty thick, and it needs it pretty thick because it needs to support the weight of that cowling vibrating and bouncing and pushing down right there. I don't know, I may even let this set and come back and add more. Like you see a messy work they did in here before. I think I'm gonna go in there and grind that. So I got this flipped to the opposite side now, peeled up. I got in there and got those 2 screws out and peeled it off of this plastic. And now what I'm gonna do is glass in this back. So I've been feathering it around here some, and I'm gonna fill in this right around this edge right here. Actually, I see I need to hit right here and here just a little bit. I want to take too much back. I want to stay inside this line so I don't get too much work for myself. But it'll work out pretty good. Just going to kind of fill this up right around this edge here. In fact, that's probably enough. I can deal with what it is there. Well, there it is. I got the bottom coated in, and those edges you see in there, those don't matter. All that gets cut out in the middle. I overdid it, so I have a nice even thick edge to cut into. Well, this is cured now. It's kind of getting over in the evening time, or it is in the evening time now. And I'm getting me a center line set up right here so I can measure off on my center point, which is right here. I made a tick mark on several places here. That way I can measure over and know where to cut that out. And instead of just barely having anything to attach it on like it did before, it's going to have a couple inches underneath there. It's going to be able to go all the way back to this block, where before it was just barely hanging the edge. So it's going to be really nice to have it like that too and seal it better. And because of salt water and all, once I get it cut properly and everything, and all of our welding's done later on when the pipes get here, still waiting for them. Well, then when I put the final installment, I put a bead of sealer in that too. Give you a little reference of how thick I made that. Yeah, good 1/4 inch thick right there. All right, so I got this made. I got it on here. I did have to notch it right here just a little bit in order to get it to slide on here, so I could get over this hub right here. So that was a minimum thing, and I can just seal it up, or I could just leave it open. Either way, let water drain out the bottom if it gets in there. It's a good little drain spot. But I'm happy with that, man. It looks good. It feels so different than it did this morning. This morning, this was a weak piece. It was on here crooked. You put it on there and it would just whomp down on its own on that side because the bottom was so thin and weak. And it had a big hole back here. It was all chopped open all up across over here. And now it's all pretty much sealed up. And it has some holes up here and some other places that I closed in. They're all gone. There was one here and here, and there was a big hole over here, and they're all gone now. And really cleaned up. And back here there was a hole through it right down in here also. I closed that up. So this is going to be pretty sweet, man. It's really improving.